Assalamu alaikum. Welcome to our channel again. Today, Abu Bakr is back. He went into hibernation zone, but finally he's back. So, a few days back, I uploaded a video with regards to Ring of Gaijis. This was a discussion. This was a thought experiment. It was heated debate between Socrates and Glaucon, two of the characters in the Republic. So Abu Bakr, he floated an idea that why don't we go with the Republic? Why don't we discuss other ideas in the Republic? It is one of the best books ever written. It comprises 10 books. So let's get started. Abu Bakr, so what's your thoughts? Why do you believe this is one of the best books ever written, and why our audience or why people should read it?
I think this is the book. This is one of those books that every single person, with regards to any occupation or any profession, that person should read this book. Why? Because it teaches us basic things that we need to learn about justice and management, of course, and the government. These kind of things and education. And Plato describes it through dialogue. So he puts forward a claim that and lets the readers decide what is justice according to you.
Yeah.
He gives his own definition and then ask the reader to engage themselves in this conversation and answer this question. So, why Republic? It is, of course, Plato's best work, but it is also one of the best, arguably the best work in philosophy. So, when we talk about Republic, it is an extensive work, and if we talk about for hours and hours, we cannot finish discussing about Republic. So we are going to discuss some of the basic ideas that Plato mentioned in this book, and why I want all of you to read this book by yourself is that we all need to know what is justice, what is government, what is education, what is the real purpose of these things, what is merit, and how things should be. How should we do things in our daily life? So it teaches us a lot of things, and I'll start with the allegory of cave because it is related to the concept of real education, real knowledge. So Plato describes this allegory of cave. It is his most famous allegory. So in this, what happens? He presents a group of prisoners that are locked in a kind of prison, and they see the shadow on the wall. So they don't see those person, but they think that the shadow they see are the real person. So one of the prisoners he escapes the prison and he went outside and he saw that those were shadows, not real persons.
Exactly.
So this was the concept Plato wanted to explain to us, that the knowledge we have is not real, but it is a copy of the real knowledge. So real knowledge is what is to achieve to know forms, what he explained as the ideal state.
Yeah.
So
So one of the problems that prisoner faced when he came back and he
no
told
one
them that
believed him, of course.
this is what reality is all about, and what you have been told and what you have been living throughout your life, this is not real life, and this is a copy of a copy, and you don't even know what real world is. Nobody believed him, and this is what the burden of knowledge is all about.
And
Sometimes,
exactly, and Plato was very wise. That's the thing that many critics rate Plato as the top philosopher of all time, because he knew it that only few people can
exactly.
get to know the real knowledge. So that was the dilemma that the prisoner faced, and through that example, Plato explained to us that there are not going to be many people that are going to believe you. So maybe you are going to be all alone on this journey of knowledge.
Exactly.
So
And that is the reason why he decided to write this book in the first place. You know, why he felt that need to, because Socrates, he was monumental figure in his life.
but he didn't write anything.
And no, Socrates, when he was sentenced to death because of impiety, he thought that Socrates was the wisest person alive, and that is according to the oracle and according to the testimony of all the people all the well-read people,
Exactly.
well-educated people at that time. And Plato, he was one of his favorite disciples, and Plato's favorite teacher was his what do we call it? His inspiration, his reference point. He was Socrates. When Socrates is sentenced to death, he feels there is a problem with our system, and
Exactly.
this has to be debated. and that is when he came up with the idea of the republic. And
And that
as Abu
that
Bakr
is the
mentioned,
reason why he explained the concept of ideal state,
yeah,
how should be the ideal state works. So
yeah,
there he explained. So that leads us to another allegory of the, of course, the divided line, where he explained, he divides it in four sections. First section of images and objects, and then of reasoning, of mathematical reasoning, and of course of philosophical reasoning, where he explained that the knowledge we have is imperfection, copy of
exactly,
the real forms, and to get to know to real forms, that is the true knowledge. So there he explained the ideal state and the concept of merit and justice. What is justice? And when he talked about justice, he said that first thing of reason, logos, he called reason, logos,
yeah,
that should rule above our appetite and
exactly,
spirit. So that is what justice is. So he decided to write this book because, as Ali mentioned, because he saw that our system is corrupt, so we do not know. So that is the reason why republic is very important, and a lot of Western countries have implemented the ideas of Plato
yeah.
into their.
It's still part of Yale, Harvard, some of the greatest universities. It is still taught there in political science, in
Mhm.
philosophy. There is a reason, because these are timeless ideas. They still work in these times as well. So Abu Bakr, he spends a lot of time discussing justice through, of course,
Mhm.
you know, Socrates, Thrasymachus, and Glaucon.
Mhm.
So Thrasymachus, he's modern day Nietzsche. He believes survival of the fittest. If
Exactly.
you're strong, do what you can, and weak suffer what they must. But why do you believe Socrates, his ideas? Do you believe you have always said that his ideas inspire you the most? Why? Because reality is brutal. But in the end, he was sentenced to death,
Mhm.
and he could have avoided that. Why do you believe that his death was worth it?
Okay, so the thing is, Plato, as I mentioned earlier, that Plato considers this world an imperfect world.
Yeah,
So the real world, it is the a world of forms.
yeah.
Okay, so what we are doing here, we are all imperfect. So when
So,
we,
just to let you know, he didn't say that
of course, it's
our
a.
copies are
Mhm.
existing somewhere else. No, he's talking about the perfect world that exists in our
Of
mind.
course,
His concept.
he's
Yeah,
talking about the wisdom of the
yeah,
soul that
exactly.
needs to be that needs to be learned.
That is why I said knowledge is basically recollection. That means when we are born, there is
Mhm.
inherently we have
Yes,
idea of perfection, and when we are recollecting, when we are learning, when we are discussing, when we are debating ideas over and over again, what we are doing, we are recollecting our knowledge that was ingrained in us, and slowly yet steadily, if we are debating without
exactly.
any bias, slowly yet steadily, we are getting towards perfection. You are striving towards perfection, and of course, he wasn't
Yeah.
saying that
it
there
was
is
it,
another
it
world
was
existing.
it was said metaphorically.
Metaphorically, yeah,
So
exactly.
world of forms is a metaphor. Actually, what he meant by world of forms is that the world that is in your soul. So to achieve that, to getting to know that, forms is the highest form of knowledge, and that is exactly what true knowledge is according to Plato.
Exactly.
So
So do you believe Socrates? He was. So some people say he
exactly.
was naive, and some say no, no, no. This is what education. This is what wisdom. This is what ethics is all about.
Mhm.
What do you say about that?
Actually, what Srimika's point of view was, he said by hook or crook,
Yeah,
and
exactly.
he was talking about, if you include immorality, if you include evil means, and Socrates in that dialogue was against it, because he said the true purpose of our lives is getting to know about the real knowledge, and real knowledge is not injustice, it's not immorality, rather it's morality, it's
So he
justice.
believes justice is good for collective.
Exactly.
So one of the
When
things that we are.
if we keep this point of view, that survival of the fittest, where are going to be the other people? We are
Exactly.
going to, we are going to put them under our shoes if we always talk about survival of the
Exactly.
fittest. So
But
we have to
don't you
think.
believe that there is some contradiction, some sort of a paradox when he talks about building a society where if people where poets are banished, and where you have people who are
Uh-huh.
alpha male or alpha
Yes.
male marrying
Hmm.
alpha female, and that relationship, he does not want it to be durable. He said you just procreate and leave. That's it. So I believe somewhere he was human as well, and this is where I believe this is where loopholes exist. and that is why the Republic cannot be considered the perfect book ever.
Exactly. No, as Plato himself said that we are not perfect, and we cannot be perfect in this. Of course,
Yeah.
the perfect things exist in our mind, and we have to try our best. And even if we try our best, we cannot get to that level. So
Exactly.
when he talks about the things about poets, of course, there are going to be some people critical of it, but we have to understand what he actually meant. He was not against poets. He was not against art. Rather, he was against the the things of art, the things art can do. Like we are not. I'm not against technology,
Yeah.
but I'm afraid of technology because the things it can do, it can harm your privacy, and it can humiliate people. So that is the reason why Plato was against it, because he said the the poetry, the art, it is usually, it appeals to our emotions rather than reason. So that was the reason why Plato was against it, because
So,
he
so I
said.
believe in the end, what he
And
was
of
trying
course.
to do, he was trying to discuss. He was trying to float an idea. He
Mhm.
was trying to debate. So this is what knowledge is all about. You give an idea, and if others they believe that this idea lacks intellectual depth, they come up with another
And he
idea. This is what thesis and thesis
Plato
is.
Plato
What
and
Hegel said.
Plato invited you
Yeah,
to discuss
exactly.
this.
And this is what Hegel said. This is how civilization has thrived. This is how civilization has
Mhm.
made progress. You give an idea, and then there is another idea to counter the idea that was floated
Exactly.
earlier, and thesis, antithesis, and then you get synthesis.
Of
And this
course.
is how you continue to discuss ideas, you continue to debate ideas. And he was in because Socrates, he was punished for impiety,
Mhm.
for corrupting the youth. So basically he was punished for challenging the system. So
Exactly.
what Plato tried to do, he tried to advocate for the fact that humans should there should be freedom of expression, and you should be allowed to discuss and debate ideas.
Exactly. So that was the reason, and also Plato, when he put forth for this idea, he said he was not against art, or he was not against poet, or these kind of. Rather, he was actually against the harmful things that art can potentially do. So
Mm.
when we talk about technology, we can say it has the potential to harm humankind. So that was the thing that Plato said, that it can harm our youth, it can harm their it can corrupt our youth, and that is the reason why he said it is an ideal state, and it cannot exist in ideal state, because the ideal state means perfection. So when we talk about perfection, we cannot include anything that can even potentially be harmful
Exactly.
for us.
So why did he come up with an idea of philosopher king? Why do you believe
Mhm.
philosopher king is so important for our society, and why should he rule over us?
Exactly. So when we talk about the concept of philosopher king, we have to understand this concept first at an individual level. So when we talk about individual level, let's talk about ourselves. He said the at the top of the list, at the top of the tree, should be logos, reason.
Yes.
So reason should be at top of the list, and then should be spirit, and then appetite. So he divided into three concepts. Now let's take it to the governmental level,
Yeah.
where he said, why philosopher on the number one? Because philosophers are wise. Philosopher kings, they have read and they are wise, so they go on top of the tree. And then warriors, okay. So warriors, they will protect a state, and then at the bottom level there are workers who will produce
Exactly.
for like farmers or these kind of things. So that is the reason why philosopher king at the top of the list. If you ask the farmer to be a king, he cannot do that, because his work is farming. If you ask a shoemaker to be a king, he
Yeah. Yeah.
cannot do that, because
This
he.
is what justice is all
Yes.
about.
So justice, according to, let's talk about justice again. So justice, according to Plato, is putting things where they belong. So if I
Where they're
ask,
best suited.
of course, so if I ask a shoemaker to rule, he will destroy everything.
Yeah.
So if I ask the warrior to do this thing, he cannot do it, because his duty is to fight at the borders for
Yeah.
the
So
state.
injustice is not that a poor guy is being beaten up by some goons.
Mhm.
Even if you put a shoe on your head, on the top of your head, this is what injustice.
Exactly.
Because that is not its real place. It has to be under your feet. So this is what he was trying to suggest in the Republic, that the best person, a person who believes in reason, that is the person who is best suited to rule
And
us, to
here
rule
he
over us.
also introduced the concept of the sheep. Of course, some call it the allegory of sheep, but it is the concept of sheep. where he said to when we need a navigator for a ship that a perfect navigator for a ship that can avoid dangers, of course. And if we give the ship to an untrained person, who's not trained, he will destroy. He
Of
will,
course.
of course. So that is the reason why he said the philosopher king. He can make decisions. He can make the best decisions. That is why he should be at the top of the list.
So what kind of system he was trying to advocate for? But just imagine, if we take it to extreme, uh, I don't believe he was in favor of democracy.
Actually, the thing it is then it of course it goes back to Socrates again.
Yeah.
Why the concept?
Because yeah, majority of the people decided to punish him, so they voted against him. So maybe he wasn't in favor of democracy because he believed most of the people they are not valid. And when you refer back to the allegory of the cave,
Yep.
only one prisoner. That means if there are
And
100 people, only one person he is wise enough to make wise decisions.
so you can make a claim for and against at this concept. So of course
This is what
going
the
against
debate is all
democracy.
about.
So that his reason why he was not in the favor of pure democracy is because he said all people are not wise, and some people do not even know what kind of decision they are going to make. So that is the reason why he was against pure form of
So
democracy.
one last thing to discuss here, because we are still
Of
packing
course,
our batches. This is
this
like
is
a
a book that we can
yeah,
talk for hours and hours. Of course.
yeah. It's like the Republic is an ocean, and what we can take from it only a drop. What
Of
we
course.
know is drop. What we don't know is an ocean. So the last question: when Glaucon and Socrates are discussing in the book to why are
The,
humans as moral as they think they
of
are?
course, the
So
allegory of the ring of the
yeah, yeah,
Gyges.
ring of Gyges. So do you believe that instead of Gyges, just replace Gyges with Marcus Aurelius? Do you believe that Marcus Aurelius would have done the same thing? So this is what the debate is all about. If
Well,
every single human, if it's in our nature, if every single human, if he knows that he can
mhm.
save his skin, he can get away with that. If every single human will act like Gyges, then what is the purpose of debating all these ideas?
I think as far as I have read and understood what kind of a person Marcus Aurelius was, and of course, if we delve deep into the his meditations and what kind of personality he has, I think he would have acted differently. Because if everyone is same, if everyone thinks like a shepherd, of course, guys is, then where is morality? Where is justice? Where is goodness? So these things would not have existed. So they existed. The government they uh, in when Marcus Aurelius was the emperor, there were justice. There was justice, of course. So that is the thing. If we put Marcus Aurelius in place of Gyges, he would have acted differently. He would not have used the ring
So
as
that
for
means
unfair.
power only corrupts the corrupt.
Of course, and why there is a very important thing of why Plato wanted a philosopher king, because when philosopher, he has understood everything, he knows everything, he knows what is wrong, he knows what is right. So Marcus Aurelius was a philosopher king, and he knew it, what goodness is, what justice is. So he would not have done that.
There was another idea that it disturbs, it
Hmm.
violates your soul as well. So Socrates believed that Gyges wasn't happy at all, no matter how much he tried to pretend. In the end, he wasn't happy. So if you believe in justice,
Mhm.
uh, in the end, it does serve you well because it doesn't violate your soul. And
Exactly.
if your soul
And
is at peace,
and the
that means you're
thing is why Gyges wasn't happy with his act because as you mentioned earlier, the concept of real goodness, the concept of real justice, they are inherently they are in here in us. So those things, when you go against your nature, when you go against the real principles of our soul, we violate our soul, and then the guilt, of course, are faced with regret and guilt. So that's exactly what happened with Gyges. But when you do these things a lot of times, again and again and again, and then that guilt, the voice of guilt, of course, they it
of
silences.
course. So there was a person who was saying that we should not discuss and debate these ideas because these ideas have become redundant. I believe people are mistaken when they believe when they think that these ideas they have become outdated. They are still fresh. They are still relevant. These are timeless ideas, and that is why these ideas they have survived. They have tested. They have they are being taught and being debated and discussed at the great universities
Mhm.
of our
Of
times as
course,
well.
everything that Plato discussed in his Republic, it can never be outdated. It can
Yeah.
never go
Because
redundant
humans are
because
always faced with these problems,
these are the
universal problems.
this is the nature of humans.
Exactly.
These emotions exist. We will always talk about justice. We will always talk about
What's wrong
goodness.
and what's right?
We will always have discussions
Morality
about
will always be
morality
there.
and immorality. So the reason why these concepts are still being discussed in top universities like Harvard or
Jail.
Yale and Stanford, these kind of universities, is because these concepts are eternal. These concepts are universal and they can never go redundant. And if we want to achieve goodness, if we want to make progress, we have to delve deep into these kind of ideas, and we have to do discussion, a lot of discussions, and then we can reach at the point where we can find real problems and real solutions to these.
Exactly. So that's all from our side. Hope you like this video and
This is all we can discuss about the Republic.
exactly.
So yeah, till
Once
then,
again, we were just pecking over the edges, and it's very deep, and we can talk about it for hours and hours. And this is what great. This is what the Republic is all about. You can discuss it again and again and again, and you will find layers upon layers, and you will find several avenues, new avenues to explore every single time. So hope you like this video.
till then,
Good luck.
goodbye.